When I start filming this, it's like far away, and then I hit record and it zooms right into my face. But that's okay. Welcome back to my channel, you guys. I'm talking about something today that is probably a long time coming. This is some signs and symptoms that are normal during recovery. So I do have a video about signs and symptoms to expect when you're getting closer to getting your period, but I haven't really talked much about like things that are normal to experience, immediately upon starting with the recovery process of getting your period back. And I haven't talked about, like some of the really random ones, especially. So not only do I have my own to share, but I've actually asked members of the community at the HA Society to share some that they experienced to make sure I don't forget any for you. Before we dive in, today's episode is brought to you by Jool Wellness, the supplement that you need to have if you are amenorrheic, preparing for pregnancy, post-contraceptive, post-ED, multiple of the above. If you have any of these, you need to be remineralizing with beef liver, and I recommend oyster, rotating between the two month to month. So check out Jool Wellness, joolwellness.com for your beef liver and oyster capsule supplementation. You're in a depleted state, you need to remineralize. This is going to help you absorb food faster, better, more effectively. It has the heme type of iron, which is better than the type in your multivitamin, 8 to 10 times more absorbable. It does have folate in it for y'all try and get pregnant on a prenatal. It's more effective than your prenatal. There's tons of information on this on the website at Jool Wellness. Go to the education tab, learn all about it. But let's get on with the show. So things to expect. This came up because, regularly we'll have people be like, this is happening. Is this normal? And 9 times out of 10, the answer is yes. So the one that sparked this actually was someone asking about heart rate variability. We get that question in the HA Society a lot from people who've just started. So they just found out they have HA. They're just starting to make really reasonable, actual effective changes, eating more, resting more, that kind of thing. And then suddenly their heart rate variability goes up. They're experiencing almost like heart palpitations. Maybe they wear like a fitness tracker and it's telling them that their heart rate is going up, and even while they're sleeping sometimes. And this is actually a normal part of the healing process. So please don't panic about that. It will pass. Your body is going from a totally down-regulated state to a more optimal state, it's trying to get a rhythm. And so in that process, it's going to have some sputters, and heart rate variability is one of them, including increased blood pressure would be the next one. Generally speaking, people with HA have a low blood pressure because everything's down-regulated. They will be told that's healthy and normal, but it's actually an HA symptom, and you're probably not naturally genetically supposed to have low blood pressure all the time. Some people do. I actually do. I get that from my mother, and all through recovery I've continued to have low blood pressure, but it's often normal too. Like it used to be always low when I had HA. Now it's low or normal, but it's still higher than it was, right? So that's really common. For it to just come back online, that's not a bad thing. Some others that were shared that were definitely on my list and were backed up by others were those heart rate variability, especially, but bloating, headaches, definitely breast tenderness, and body odor. Yes, especially right when you're about to recover. It's like another puberty, right? So acne, sweating, greasiness, BO, these are normal and they're temporary, but you're going back through a bit of a puberty, so you have to be ready and prepared for that. Jazz said hunger in the middle of the night. Absolutely. I, within a week, was waking up at 5 a.m. just starving. So a temporary increased appetite is really normal, especially just if you've been skipping breakfast and now you're eating breakfast. And for the longest time, you didn't even feel like it because you've been adapted for so long to not eating breakfast. It's gonna get you. So the headaches one, I think is happening because of just the hormonal fluctuations. Headaches would be considered maybe a PMS symptom, and it's not uncommon to get PMS symptoms in early recovery. Why? Because your estrogen is rising and you at no point in the recent time have had opposing progesterone. So you're actually in an estrogen dominant state, even though your estrogen is kind of low, because you don't have the other important hormones yet. The first one to turn online is estrogen. The rest will follow suit when estrogen is high enough. Simplified. So until you've kind of had your first real cycle, and honestly like second or third, you're going to be pretty out of balance, if you will. So you could expect PMS type symptoms like headaches. That's where the bloating comes into. The bloating is really common and a lot of people panic about it. A significant amount of your initial weight gain is water. And this is especially true if you were watching your carbs pretty consistently. So even if you're a macro tracker who was high carb, you probably weren't as high carb as you thought you were. So once you start introducing carbs, your body has to adapt and learn how to utilize them, start replenishing glucose through your body. This can result in swelling. And swelling has roles as well for the transportation of nutrients through your body. So if suddenly you're way more nutrient replenished, you're bringing in more nutrients, more macronutrients, it's transporting them, it's using them, it's like, we got it, let's send the resources to the different areas. And that is definitely going to have a physical reaction. You cannot go from no hormones and just like nothing happening in your body to all the food, all the nutrients, all the things, and expect no symptoms. It's just like not reasonable, right? Someone had said diarrhea, constipation. So those are kind of opposites, right? But they're both common. Just digestive discomfort, totally normal as well, because digestive system down-regulated. So if you have not like already historically with HA not been pooping regularly, or you've had some constipation or discomfort, or you get stomach pain, or you have sensitivities to things that you didn't have sensitivities to before HA, you start introducing those foods, it's pretty normal and common to experience discomfort. The thing with digestive issues is you don't really, for the most part, get to resolve them without going through them. And this is something that we have to do with clients often, is like reassure them that we're going to resolve the digestive issues, but in order to resolve them, they're going to flare up a little bit. So if it's been a long time since you had dairy, since you had like, flour carbs like bread and things like that, and they're causing you some digestive pain, you may need to go slower, but you probably could continue eating them because your body just needs to relearn how to digest them. And depending on your history, right, like ED, BC, you may have low stomach acid, you may have, not an ideal gut environment, gut flora, so it's not as strong. So now you're reintroducing these things and it needs to have them in its system for it to rebuild those processes, and it's just a part of it. So expect that because you're reintroducing new foods. Katerina said she feels like her body had woken up a little bit. She was hungrier. She was waking up early, feeling hungry. Her bowel and urinary movements were more frequent. So all things we've covered. She started noticing cervical mucus. Of course, that's a big one that I talk about all the time. Cervical mucus production should start up. Some cramping, her mood, libido improving. That's a nice one to have. Hair growing back, nails growing back thicker. I have a lot of clients where like they almost see like the proliferation of their body everywhere except their reproductive system first. So like, I'll have someone who will come in and they really want their period back tomorrow, right? Of course, that's everyone. But they're really, really depleted, and they've been that way for so long that they don't even remember what it's like, or maybe they just don't remember what it's like to have the glow. To just have like the glow of the skin and the hair and the energy that we just, like, as humans can't even explain. People just have it, right? And they start seeing all that come back, and they're like, I do feel better. I have boobs again. My hair feels better. It's grown like an inch. My nails are growing. I have more energy. I have libido. All that's coming back, but they don't have a period, and they start getting concerned. But the reality is, like, for a lot of people, those things are prerequisites before the brain decides that reproductive system is ready. This goes to show you how many bodily systems and functions are downregulated and not operating at full capacity and need to also come back online. It's not just randomly your ovaries and your uterus and everything else is operating, right? Your blood pressure is down, your heart rate is down, your appetite is down, your digestion is down. These are all, like, that's the common thread of everything we've said so far. Everything's downregulated, so while everything's coming back online, it's gonna feel weird, uncomfortable, sometimes fun. You're gonna have to lean into it. Weird symptoms are generally good. A couple things that are not normal and expected, I think, would be random consistent spotting all the time. Very rare, happens. It's not something we see a lot in HA recovery, so that's a bit of a random one. What else? I just added this into the video, so what else would be not expected? Weight loss would probably be not expected. I think it can go either way. You can become really fatigued, and that will be normal because your body's finally entering into a parasympathetic state. And if you've been a high cortisol, high stress, go, go, go person, that's going to potentially be one way that you respond. If you're someone who's actually in HA and always tired, you may respond with more energy, one or the other. I think either way, beef liver, guys, definitely be on that, especially if you're on that fatigued part, because it brings you a lot of energy. What else is not normal? I think initially loss of appetite, I wouldn't say. Appetite should be coming up, but we do come across people who are like, I just can't eat anymore. And generally with those people, I actually want to look closer at their food log before deciding that that's definitely true. Sometimes they've increased food a little bit and they actually haven't increased it enough, so the appetite actually hasn't come back. Or it can be a mindset thing. They may fully intend not to continue eating. Like, they may fully intend to kind of go back to what they were doing. And there's a few reasons that comes up as a clue for me, right? Like, usually they're coming to me saying, I'm just so full, I can't eat anymore. And well, there are times when that just is true. There are also times when they would love permission to stop eating, and so that's why they're telling that to me. And if you're saying that and your actual intention is to just not have to eat as much because you're uncomfortable, your brain knows what you're doing, and so you're continuing to be in a restrictive state. Okay, that's what I got for you guys. Definitely let me know if I missed any that are obvious, or if you have ones that you're like, that wasn't on the list, but I'm wondering if this is normal. Comment below and I will reply, and I'll let you know if we've seen that in our practice. I hope this was helpful for you guys. If you want to work with me or someone in my team, I do discovery calls with you guys, totally free, just to figure out if that's something that is a good fit for you. So just go to thehasociety.com/coaching. I'll link everything below, and I look forward to seeing you guys next week or the week after, because sometimes I do these bi-weekly.